Hello, and welcome to our last lesson on how to write an exceptional essay. Our first lesson was on how to find a hook. The second one was how to outline a great essay. So we've got hook, line, and our last lesson is on how to write an exceptional essay sinker. So hook, line, and sinker. So the sinker is how to connect, how to really make the essay work, how to connect with the reader. To begin with, I'm going to talk about how to find your voice. The voice that you write in is the tone that your words bring to mind for the person reading. So I like to say your voice is what the reader hears in their ear when they're reading your essay. So here are some styles. You've got the serious style. You're going to use language that communicates a serious tone. You're going to usually pick issues that are more serious in nature, and you tend to see the big picture and larger issues around you. If your tone or your voice is academic, you might use language that communicates an academic tone. You're drawn to subjects that might include like research or cite the latest statistics. And generally, if you're academic, your personality is more academic, you probably use larger words in your regular conversation and vocabulary, so it's okay to use those. Now, if you don't normally use large words and you have a different kind of tone, don't just put large words in your essay just to seem smarter. Your tone will be a little wonky. Formal, obviously, choose topics that tend to formal language and expression. Don't use colloquial sayings. Don't use any contractions and stuff like that. Silly, you might be silly. You're going to use fun topics, happy, light in nature. Picking world hunger, things like that do not come across well when you're trying to be silly. Sarcastic, you just need to be super careful with this one. I love sarcastic folks. However, not everybody gets it, so you have to be really careful because it can go terribly wrong if misunderstood. Quirky, I love that. Come across with careful word choice and some interesting things that are colorful and descriptive, and then your quirky little personality will come across in your voice and in your writing. Maybe you're enthusiastic. Use words that communicate motion and energy. So like she rushed up the walkway, not she walked, or he jumped for joy, not he smiled when she told him that. So enthusiasm and energy. Uplifting, positive, really happy, positive, uplifting words. So even something negative like she went on a run and she's dripping with sweat, she was glowing from her run, that kind of thing. And then empathetic is another one. This communicates kindness and understanding. So you're going to use a lot of emotion words. So like for homelessness, say the forgotten community rather than the street people. So something that conveys emotions. Now, the way that I picked the words for those different types of styles and voice was I chose the original word, and then I went to the internet and I just typed in synonyms for talk. So here you can have speak, give voice, chat. So if you're going to be quirky, the people are going to chat. If you're going to be quirky, maybe chew the fat might be that. Blather might be something that you would talk about if you were going to come across as silly, or chattering, or rattle on, depending on the type of voice or communication that you're going to do. Here's another example, walk. I love this one. People can amble, saunter, trudge, tramp. All of those convey a different voice or a different perspective when you're writing an essay. All right, so here was our outline from our lesson 2. This was our line, and we wrote our hook and emotional, practical, We wrote about a personality trait here. We wrote a practical outcome, an emotional outcome. We connected it back to the hook, and then we closed. So I'm going to click over to a Google Doc. And here I've got our original essay outline. Now, remember, when we were writing our original outline, we weren't worried about using great grammar. We weren't worried about making it sound really wonderful and writing really deep stuff. We were just getting the ideas on there. So step number one, when you're in this setup, go ahead and use spell check. And I also have Grammarly installed, and you can see it on here. So there are 7 issues. Now I have Grammarly Pro, so I pay for it. There are 24 suggestions there, but there are 7 really big ones in their outline. I'm not sure always, and they want us to add that. That's a very good one. Oops, I have typo here. Change my perspective about homeless people. They feel like perspective on homeless people. I like that one. The man standing on the corner, hold a sign, holding. So that was an error. Oh, and here we have an actual misspelled word. Okay, and if you'll notice right here, there's something that didn't show up. So you not only have to use spell check and what have you, that's why you need to proof it. The next thing you're going to do is figure out your word count, because you have to decide how many words your essay needs. You've only got the outline. So this essay could be 250 words. I could make it 650 words. I could make this 1,000 words by filling it in, but I need to know before I start with the voice part, how many words I need this to be. So if you're in Google Drive, like I suggested, you go over here, highlight it, go to tools and go to word count. Here we go, 194 words. So let's do a 250 word essay. So I'm not going to add a lot to it, but I do have a tiny little bit of wiggle room. Okay, now we're going to connect our thoughts together. So we've got, I was homeless. It was only for a day. It was hot outside. So there are no connecting words that go together. So if I were going to do this, I would start with, really looking at how this could actually become a connection. I was homeless for a day. I was homeless. It was only for a day, but that day changed my life. That Tuesday was hot. Actually, it should have been a Sunday because he was at church. That Sunday morning was hot and I was dirty and smelly. So I just did a connector there, that kind of thing. And then the step 4 is change the words to match your voice. So I'm going to give you some examples, and I'll use almost all of the examples that I did in the handout in the document that you're going to get. So we're going to start with quirky. Here's our original in black, and then what I changed is in blue. So I was homeless. It was only for a day, but that day changed my life. So instead of changed, I decided to do transformed. Transformer is a fun word, a little weird and offbeat, but it's dramatic, which a quirky person would be. So I just changed that word. It was hot outside. I was dirty and smelly. Just holding the sign made me embarrassed. Instead, I put, it was hot and muggy outside, and the sweat was making streaks down my charcoal-covered face. It was so bizarre to be on the other side of the will work for food sign. So what I did was I took this idea and I made it a story. Instead of it just being facts, I came across as quirky. Okay, hot and muggy, charcoal covered face. You can just see the streaks coming down the dirty face. Bizarre is a quirky kind of word. All right, so you say, okay, quirky, that's pretty easy. Let's be academic. All right, the next sentence. If I were writing as in an academic tone, originally I was standing at the front entrance of the youth building, helping my youth pastor with a sermon illustration. I worried security would kick me out. So academic would say, position strategically at the front entrance of the youth building. I was a quintessential sermon illustration in action. Quintessential means like the poster child, sermon illustration. Hopefully, the security guard would disregard my presence and allow me to stay at my location. So you can see the tone is absolutely different. All right, let's do one that's enthusiastic. Being the go-to kid in the youth group has its perks. In this case, its downsides. I'm not sure that always being willing to help is a good thing. So enthusiastic, we kind of wanted to try and stay really positive and have action moving words. So I was pumped to be asked to help with this top secret object lesson. Always being available to my youth pastor has its perks. Okay, from a positive standpoint, pumped, excited. You can see this kid just jumping around. And it also still kept the fact that this was a kid who was always available and willing. He was dependable for his youth pastor. All right, here's a sarcastic one. This one you have to be a little bit more careful with, but people stopped and gave me money, invited me in, brought me food, and cried while they tried to help me. So sarcastic. It doesn't get much better than having your high school principal offer you money and invite you to sit with her at church. I almost died when my friend's mom cried when she offered me breakfast. Okay. So did you get the gist that the kid really wanted to sit with the principal in church? No. And then I clarified it here. I almost died. So you can tell that the person was being sarcastic. Here's a formal part of the essay. I was humbled at the outpouring of kindness and love my community showed a homeless teenager. I was grateful for the compassion. The feeling of humility hung heavy in the air as I surveyed the items my local community gave a homeless young person. My heart swelled with gratitude for their compassion. All right. So instead of it being totally in the first person, the feeling of humility hung, that type thing. And then a teenager, that's a little bit colloquial or less formal. So a homeless young person. Swelled is a little bit more old-fashioned formal word. Think you're getting the gist of this. All right, we've got two more. Silly. The simple actions of a loving community took me by surprise. It made me grateful and forever changed my perspective about homeless people. Okay, I was blown away by the French toast sticks from Mickey D's and the travel bag of items to help me smell better. Wow, I won't ever see homeless peeps the same. All right, now I did peeps just to be pretty dramatic here. Not 100% sure that I would turn in an essay, but I might if I'm really trying to come across silly. All right, and our last one is an empathetic perspective. The man standing on the corner holding a sign is someone's son. The dirty lady pushing the grocery cart full of things she'd found on the street could be someone's mother. The family digging in the dumpster deserves my compassion and kindness. All right, so that was pretty empathetic to begin with, but listen how we changed it. When I look into the hurting eyes of the man on the corner, I will see someone's son. The thumping of a grocery cart pushed by the woman on the street will remind me that she could be someone's mom. My heart will remember the compassion and kindness I was shown, and I'll offer the same to that, or same to the family digging through the dumpster. I can make a difference. All right. So you see, empathy, emotion, hurting, looking into the eyes, hearing the thumping, remembering compassion, that type of thing makes for an empathetic tone. All right, now obviously you're not going to use all of these. You're going to pick one. What are you? Quirky, academic, enthusiastic, sarcastic, formal, silly, energetic, and I think there are a few other ones in our lesson earlier, and then you pick one and then you use each, you go through each of the different parts of your essay and you add in the personality, the voice, the style, words, and then you add them together. So if I had written them all in the same style or voice, I would take all the black colored lettering out. I would just use the blue colored lettering, and then I would have my essay, make sure that it hits within the word count, and have my essay that is written based on my tone. All right, that is it. Now you can have a hook, line, and sinker and write an exceptional essay.